Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And this is our Thursday session for Analysts Gone Wild. We are always trying to be wilder than wild. So that will be our attempt. This week as well, we have exciting guests. So we are going to start with everybody's intros. I'm going to start with Ken. Ken, do you want to go first?
Absolutely. I'm happy to go first. My name is Ken Gonzalez, otherwise known as Ken Gon. Feel free to use that when you speak with me. I cover CIO and infrastructure and operations topics, and I'm lead advisor at Pretty Simple Group.
Okay, amazing. Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas Wiebernight. I had CRM. I go by Thomas usually.
You need a nickname, Thomas. Come on.
What I'm covering is CRM, CX, and these days AI topics for more years than I care to admit.
Okay, John?
Yeah, John Santaferraro. I'm the CEO at Ferraro Consulting and the lead analyst there. I'm also the host of the Digital Analyst, a podcast. Hey, we just, by the way, just reached 350,000 views. It's a good week.
Nice.
Glad to be here. My coverage areas include AI, analytics, and data management. Been doing this for about 30 years.
Okay, Michael?
Sure. Michael Fawcett. I'm the founder, CEO of Arion Research and host of the Disambiguation podcast. We cover mostly agentic AI, generative AI in the intersection with enterprise apps, particularly CX. And I've been in this business for, 35 years or so, I guess. So.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much, guys. And Sam Gupta here from Elevate IQ. Our focus area is enterprise software. On that note, if you're in the audience, joining for the first time, make sure you guys post your questions, comments, stories. We are always looking forward to those, and we'll be discussing as we progress with this show. So I'm actually going to bring up the first story, and I would love to see your insights. So the first one that we have is coming from TELUS. And I don't know whether you guys are familiar with TELUS. They are literally all over the place. They are one of the largest telco from Canada. I don't know if we have any other Canadians here except me. But they have been getting into pretty much every single business out there. And obviously, they have TELUS Digital as well. You'll be shocked to hear that they are actually in the ERP business as well. So they are pretty much everywhere. So in this particular case, they have added a Salesforce consultancy. So now they have a CRM practice too, which is interesting. I mean, I always find this, mind blowing that they are pretty much all over the place from the business model perspective, but seems like it's working, I guess, for them. So this one is going to be CRM. Telco does have a little bit of alignment, from the CRM perspective, and that would be the reason why they would be interested in this. But this is not the only thing that they have acquired. They have acquired a lot of professional services firm in the past. So they are talking about Gerent, and they have some comments here, and they are talking about workforce of fully remote workforce located in US, Canada, India, Australia. And they have done over 1,000 Salesforce projects. So overall, I guess, I don't know if I should say I'm excited, but I mean, I'm always a little divided when I look at something like this, where companies are going all over the place. I don't know if government should be doing something for this in terms of monopoly, but it's very interesting. All right. So your comments, guys?
If I were TELUS, I would actually be looking at things like this too, because just from a pure demand management perspective, I think that being a provider of plumbing and the being able to make the transport layer work so that you get bits moving around and keeping your customers in the fold, looking to own more parts of that digital supply chain make a whole lot of sense and actually translate directly into long-term customer retention. So I think it's actually a very, very good move and can really benefit customers if they don't take advantage of the owning the supply chain to drive prices up. You know, we're at a point in the market where we're continuing to see pricing pressures because of how fast the market's changing. So I think that long term, it's a great investment, but we have to be careful.
Yeah,
I mean, Gerent has a great reputation in the Salesforce ecosystem, and certainly that's a good addition, I would think, to their team. And I particularly like the fact that they've been adding, AI agents, agentic agents to the marketplace, and have been using Agentforce for a while now. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in from an AI perspective and say, that obviously Salesforce is wanting to be at the center of the agentic world. They realized that data was a part of that, so they're just now announced the acquisition of Informatica. So they'll have a data layer and an agent orchestration layer, along with all of the agent space what they've already done. So they want to own that space. And so TELUS is smart to already have launched their own product, and then to pick a firm that doesn't just have Salesforce expertise, but does have expertise in what everybody is calling agentic AI. And this is where I'm gonna call them out, because I'm sorry, you can't say that an agent sends an email and therefore it is an agent. And so these are likely not even agents that this company has. They give the description of it, right? They have sales representative agent. What does it do? It independently engages with leads by sending emails, scheduling meetings, recommending products. And then a CX agent that answers customers' questions. It's very simple automation with a chat bot plugged into it, and this is not agentic yet. So it's nice. I get it from a marketing perspective. You've got to talk about AI agents and agentic. So from my perspective, it's a good move, and it's the right move to expand their workforce. But let's stop throwing around the agentic term, please, and just call it what it is.
Well, that pretty much sums it up, right?
Okay, so if you guys don't have any other comments, one comment or maybe a question I'm going to have for Michael. So here, this acquisition, when I look at the business model, right, in my mind, I see this as more of the IBM business model, because IBM is a consulting firm, and here you are sort of acquiring a consulting firm. But if you were Salesforce, and if they are, if a telco as powerful as TELUS is acquiring a reseller or a VAR from your ecosystem, and Salesforce does like to acquire their own VARs, at times. So there is a little bit of, what is that, vertical acquisition, I guess. So they like to do that as well. So how do you feel about this acquisition if you were Salesforce?
I think from a Salesforce perspective, it's just reach and access to more customers. I don't see any downside for them. I mean, this is that you get a lot of over a large 1,800 certifications and a large set of talented consultants, and that's a good benefit for them, and it's a good benefit for Salesforce, because again, it increases their footprint and gives them access to others. So I don't think there'd be a negative there. And they do acquire some, but they tend to make acquisitions lately that are either really specific, missing technology, or something like Informatica, which I guess you could say is missing technology, but is considerably larger than something like this.
Yeah, and just to give you some more background, I guess, and I'm pretty sure you guys already know this, the telco was really struggling in terms of their margins, right? So they had a threat from companies like Apple, and I'm actually shocked to see that they are not doing something to combat that. Rather, they are finding these business models. I don't know, see, if service-oriented business models are going to be as margin constrained, but it's just interesting, I guess, in my mind. I don't know if you guys have any.
Yeah, one of the things that is obvious here, and this is a trend with all services companies now that this AI revolution is happening, they're building out AI AI implementation platforms. They're not products, so Salesforce doesn't have to worry about. But they're all building out these accelerators and these platforms where they're putting together the pieces of generative AI, of agentic AI, and even combining that with analytics and machine learning and other capabilities to be able to put all of the pieces together. So I think this is good for TELUS and it's good for Salesforce. There's no product there that is a threat to Salesforce. It only helps people speed Salesforce delivery.
Yeah.
Well, it's playing to the promise of 1 billion agents soon.
Yep.
That's basically what it does. The only victim, as Ken said, might be the clients.
Okay, guys, so we have some comments from the audience. So let's say hello to them. So Jay, thank you so much for joining. And then we have Anna as well. Hey, Anna, if you don't know Anna, she's very, very, very popular in the supply chain space. So yeah, if you guys don't follow her, please do follow her. All right, so I'll go to the next story if you guys don't have any other comments on that. So here, this is coming from AppDirect. And I don't know what is happening with them. And they are talking about expanding innovative technology marketplace. And again, this is a very interesting move as well, because now they are doing a little bit of energy procurement, which is interesting. So everybody's kind of all over the place, right? Because, I see these trends as more of the consolidation play. I don't see any other reason why these guys would be doing that, because everybody's sort of struggling for revenue and they are trying to do whatever in their power to consolidate as much as possible. So here they are talking about AI-driven, energy demand surge. I'm pretty sure John is probably going to have a lot of comments there. But this is also very interesting because now you are getting the whole exchange, which is just powerful in my mind overall. From the control perspective, if I were a business, I would like to have something like that. So I'll open up the floor, guys. Do you guys have any comments on this?
I think this is really strategic, because the more we use AI and the more we deploy AI, the more energy we're using. And we don't have enough energy to keep growing AI. It doesn't exist. This is, the first big indicator of that was Microsoft bought 3 Mile Island. Come on, right? They bought a shut down nuclear plant, probably with the hopes of bringing it back up, because they know they're going to need that nuclear power to power AI. So if you're sitting between the technology and the buyer, that buyer not only has to buy technology, but that buyer will likely have to buy energy as well. I think it's a really strategic play. And there's nothing, by the way, there's nothing green about AI. Yeah, it's absolutely nothing. I'll leave it at that.
It's a marketplace. The more things you have in a marketplace, the better for the companies that come there to shop. It seems like a good thing, from that perspective, and an area that they can grow along with all the other, things that they have in the marketplace. It seems like a positive one to me.
Yeah. And as John said, so with the proliferation of data centers that cater to delivering these services that seem to be very much in demand, they need energy, and means there needs to be someone to sell it. So what they now will do is, participate in that.
Yeah.
There will be a shortage, simple as. There may be a shortage. So it's not like in Europe where you regularly find negative energy prices because of too much green energy being produced. That won't happen here. So for them, it's broadening the e-commerce platform, the sales platform, as well as participating in a trend. So for them, it's only good. Not necessarily in our realm, though.
When you get right down to it, I think that really energy is one of the chief concerns of our time, from both a sustainability as well as a cost management perspective. So I think that rather than just think about it in terms of, oh, it's AI, that's what, well, yes, that is true. It is driving it. And this is an issue of workload management and workloads and demand. So there's got to be some sort of mitigating factors in the period in which we're now using a lot of compute, we're using a lot of storage in order to perform the tasks that we're asking both AI, agentic, and generative AI to do for us. I can expect that over time, we're going to see those workload demands go down. But I mean, for point solutions, as we develop more of these things, demand's going to increase. So there's no reliable, predictable way of saying, oh yeah, the demand's going to tail off over time. And that's the balancing mechanism we're going to use to deal with the sustainability aspect, or how predictable it becomes in terms of energy utilization. Right now, it just looks like growth. It's going to continue to go up. So we need to respond to it in a meaningful way. And I think that this is one of those things that will now provide some focus on that.
And it won't scale down. So if at all, it will grow faster with edge AI or AI on the edge. Means every one of us will have higher demands, not only the humongously big data centers that are built and that probably supply themselves to some extent, or the owners just buy another new plant, I mean.
But I think it's interesting too, Sam, because AppDirect has this positioning as infrastructure as a service, right? And even talking about infrastructure as strategy. And I think that as we move into this next phase of growth in AI and in technology, it's the companies that have the 3 C's. Those are the companies that are going to be the winners. The companies that have compute, connectivity, and now current. So it's changing. I think this is changing the whole strategy of what it means to be an infrastructure as a service company.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. And I mean, 2 different comments from this one that was really, different for me. I don't know if I would think in the same direction. Number 1 is world's leading B2B commerce platform. I mean, I would define them as more of the infrastructure play or the platform play, the way you had positioned. This is nowhere close to your B2B commerce. Even though they are doing a little bit of commerce, everybody is doing some commerce, but they are not necessarily B2B commerce platform. And the second thing is, I don't know how you guys are going to feel about, acquisition of Box and then Build First and BCom and now this one. So what is the common theme here except advisors, I guess, for the smaller businesses? I don't see any other connection in these business models. So that would be my another take, I guess.
Well, for them, whatever puts an app and something to be sold on their website, put it bluntly, is something good. And if it's
like I said, marketplace, you got more stuff.
Marketplace.
That's a good thing.
And if it's something that really everybody needs, to small and big extent, so for them it's good. On the outset. And as just said, so the C, like current, is a C that will stay important. Unless we somebody finds a perpetuum mobile and sells that at a discount rate, then, well, unless that happens, for them, it's good.
Okay, so we have.
And it gives exposure. Else, I agree. So they are not a commerce platform for themselves. And hey, world leading, who knows? It's marketing.
Everybody's world leading.
It's an announcement, right? So there's lots of marketing fluff.
Yep. Of course, it's world leading. It's a marketing. Everything's world leading in my announcements. Come on.
Yeah, and we'll just define the marketplace, right? Then you're a leader in your marketplace.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have some more comments from the audience. So say hello to Leonard. Hey, Leonard, thanks for joining. And Leonard is very active in the AR communities. Follow him. He likes to connect with everybody. If you want to drop your LinkedIn profiles, please do that. He will feel happy. Then he's saying we may need AI to manage our energy, but I don't think you are going to convince John that it's going to be green, even if AI is managing the energy. Right, John?
No, that's true.
It's very yellow. It's not green.
It might be red.
It might be
but
red.
but the rest of his comment, just put the rest of his comment up, because I think that's actually very important. The idea that we're learning new ways to mitigate the amount of usage based on using the right tool for the right job, I think is an important thing, right? Small language models, medium language models, whatever it is, get the right tool in there, and then we can start to manage the energy a little more effectively. And now, does quantum computing use less energy? Don't know, but somehow I sort of don't think it does. But maybe I guess that's possible too.
My view on that is a little bit different, because I think of LLMs as a flash in the pan. And yes, they required, they're basically chatbots and it's language models. And AI, if I could put AI in a pie, to me, language models is maybe 10% of all the things that can and will be done with AI. And the other 90% is not going to fit into a small language model. It's going to require massive compute, similar to what we saw in the development of the LLMs. So I think that there still is an issue. And yes, will small language models have an impact? Yes, to about 10% of the AI energy usage pie.
Yep. But the same strategy applies to other types of models as well. So Leonard actually goes into two issues. One is managing the energy consumption, which is already happening. So and distribution as well. So on the supplier side, if you have all those distributed grids that have distributed suppliers, small fry suppliers like mom and pops, our houses that can be suppliers, that is already managed via AI systems because of basically of the real-time demands. And the other part is what you just said, John. The demand of the individual application needs to go down. And small models are one thing. There are other models of achieving that as well, like distillation, or I forgot the name of that. Basically, having different experts within the same model that get selectively activated via its training and via the prompt to the model. Forgot the name of it. DeepSeek made that very popular because it's one of the reasons why they have been so good so fast and so cheaply.
I think the point underneath this is that it's us looking at different ways that you can start to mitigate some energy use. It's not no one thing is going to solve the problem, but to just say everything's static and we're going to keep consuming a lot of energy, we will consume a lot of energy, but hopefully we can get more efficient with some of the types of activities that we do to use less energy over time.
Now, I think one of the things as we start to look at like the quantum effect, so the part of this is going to depend upon infrastructure. And there is a generational effect that goes along with infrastructure and the components that run. I think there's two things to call out. The first is that because of the generational effect, it is going to take time to actually develop the new hardware, the new silicon that's actually going to run, be more energy efficient, and switch that out in existing data centers. We are just not going to do that en masse. It's wasteful, it's expensive, and it takes time to do so you don't actually disrupt service to the end customer. The second thing I think is important is there's always a bit of a pendulum effect when it comes to processing power, storage, and things like this. So we've seen multiple generations go from local processing to data center processing and somewhere in the middle and swing back and forth. So I think that as we start to look to the edge, as we start to look to the processing that actually happens at the point where the demand is, we are going to see shifts that will affect the overall power utilization and demand curve. But fact of the matter is, that's going to cost money and take time too.
Yeah. Great points, guys. More comments on that comment? If not, I can move to the next story. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Okay, this one, a lot of stories with A. So now we have an A and app. Now we have Appian now. And Appian Connected Claims 2.0. And again, it seems slightly more consolidation story to me. Claims 2.0 and Appian, when I look at it, I mean, they are more of the low-code, no-code platform, I believe, if my understanding is right, of their business model. So here, transforms insurance claims management with AI. I mean, they do a lot of business in the insurance space. At least I've seen that. So this is a great connection. And obviously, they are going to get a lot of data from the AI perspective. So it's just another integration story, I guess. I don't know if you guys are going to have more on this.
I mean, it's a vertical play. They're expanding footprint in a vertical to go after something that is interesting business. I don't know. I mean, it seems like that's a normal move for providers these days. Find niche to build out or find the right product, go deeper in that vertical. It's a good way to grow.
Yeah.
More comments?
If they target that industry, then you better have pre-built processes that can be deployed fast. So this is not only the good way to grow, but one of the better ones.
Yeah.
So but else it's not overly exciting. They use all the necessary and appropriate buzzwords in an extensive list.
Well, that's important in any announcement. Come on.
Yeah.
Else it's not overly exciting.
Yeah, I think it does. It does show the maturing of Appian's offering by going industry specific. Yeah. I think that's always a positive thing when companies can start going to market in verticals. I think they probably have an opportunity too. I don't know how, again, AI enabled it is. That's being thrown around here without any description of what that enablement is. It's just AI enabled. But that said, even if they're able to automate even the insight for the claims processor to be able to have, the equivalent of almost a digital twin, some machine thinking for them on the side to analyze the things that they're doing. The move towards the use of generative AI is going away from, and large language models is moving away from generating things to analyzing verbal things. And so it's possible then to develop something for a claims adjuster that claims adjuster can submit their analysis and have the AI actually and analyze their analysis to find out, what did you miss? What needs to be added? What didn't you think about? So I think that kind of offering is consistent with what I see coming out of other document innovation, document management companies that are now AI enabling their platforms. The holy grail, by the way, is when they can add the structured data in with that, and I don't see anybody doing that yet.
Pega, Creatio, ServiceNow, to name just three. So, and that's where this announcement becomes a very defensive one, because at least two of those three are in the same wilderness than Appian, and they are turning into app providers as well. So this combination makes this announcement a cry, hey, we are here too. Don't forget about us. Which is not necessarily bad.
No, that's not a bad thing, right? You got to get attention.
Because it increases competition. But to me, it's not overly exciting, and a shout out, hey, don't forget about us.
And I think that from what I could tell with this announcement and the offering, it's more document automation than it is really like using, more of the capability to question, answer your documents, your data, et cetera. Now, I guess that's a first step, right? You automate document processing. You could go into some of these other more advanced things once you get there, but I think it's pretty rudimentary at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, analyzing the analysis is what we do here, Thomas. Just to be sure, we are not just analyzing buzzwords; we are analyzing the analysis.
Well, analyzing buzzwords is fun too, though.
But if the announcement is mainly consisting of buzzwords, then
Where's your bingo?
And that
card
is
we
what
need
you're
you?
doing, I guess, isn't it?
then there's the overlap.
Okay, so we have one more interesting comment here. Hey, Martin, thank you so much for joining. So Martin is saying, with Salesforce, Microsoft, Pegasystems, and a few other giants dominating the enterprise CRM space, does AI offer an opportunity for smaller new entrants to take market share, or is it more likely that will AI just reinforce the status quo? And this is a very interesting comment, to be completely honest. And I don't know how many newer players are going to be there. There are some, not just in the CRM space. There are newer CRMs. I don't know whether you guys have heard of ATO. ATO is not necessarily AI enabled. There are going to be similar CRM offerings that are going to be AI native as well. I don't have their names off the top of my head, but maybe they changed their strategy as well. Their strategy was primarily, I guess, schema-less databases is super hot too. Before AI, I guess it was hot. So they changed their strategy and they were claiming that they are going to take Salesforce's market share. I don't see that happening, to be completely honest. Maybe you do. So you guys can provide your assessment on this comment.
I just don't think this is that the industry's changed any from what we've seen for years, right? You get a new idea, a whole bunch of little startups do parts of it. Over time, the big players buy up those little parts. One or two of them will actually break out and get really big, and we'll have a couple of new players. But for the most part, the market will consolidate under that, and you'll add all that functionality into the larger players. Doesn't seem that different than the other times in my mind.
Pretty much the same as always. It's a bit of both. In briefly answering Martin's question, so it's a platform play after all, so it favors the big ones. But nobody can do it all.
Yeah, and also you're going to get to the point where build or buy. It's cheaper to buy for some of the features and functions you're going to need. So they'll do that. They'll consolidate that.
And as a little fun fact, compared to Salesforce and Microsoft, Pega is not a giant.
That's what I was going to say, that you are going to have a little disagreement there, I guess, Thomas, because we debated this one. Yeah. You don't even consider them as CRM, right? That's your position?
Pega? Yeah.
I mean, look at those three companies. There are 3 economies of scale already in there. So that in itself answers Martin's question. I mean, they are vastly different in size.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we need to consider. Sorry.
No, you continue.
I think one of the things that we need to consider is that because markets shift all the time, the actual cost of what that capability is to the end user is probably one of the things that's going to be the key driver to in any market that we take a look at, whether there's actually room for a smaller player to come up and say, look, I can provide you with a substantially similar capability at a more attractive price point, and leveraging the latest generation of technology in order to be able to make that work. Some might say, well, gee, that's limited to SMB and small enterprise. But fact of the matter is that's a huge portion of any given market. So I wouldn't count out that there's an opportunity to really have a launching point there, and then at some point end up getting gobbled up by a large player because it's a compelling play.
Leonard just hit on a really important point. Yep. As I already said before, so this is a platform play. and platform play becomes ever more important. So for the smaller ones, it's very likely that they cater to one or few ecosystems. And yes, that makes switching between platforms or ecosystems harder. And this also, and this is something that I'm preaching for years already, is every bigger software decision actually is a platform decision. So take this decision first, or at least don't do it in a way that you're not aware of what you are doing. So think of platform implications in whatever bigger software decision you are making.
Yeah, so some people might be listening to this in the audio format, so I always like to read the comments. So I'm going to read the comment as well. The comment that Thomas was commenting on. So here, Leonard is saying, for Dr. Martin's question, I think that platform mobility might be less because you are now tied in by your data being used for the AI. Switching to a new provider means your AI might not be as efficient due to the AI learning the data.
Whereas there's a little snafu in there. You don't really want an external AI learning your data. You want it to work with your data and know how to work with your data.
I suspect too that more and more that the applications are moving behind the scenes as you get more and more shift in the UI to things like collaboration tools like Slack and Teams, or even having agents do execute some part of your process, that sort of thing. So you're using the application less anyway. So at some point, a lot of the legacy applications stay in place at least for a while, because why bother replacing it when you don't have to deal with the UX anymore, and you're getting everything you need out of it because of the stuff you've added in the other platform on top. So I don't know.
That's where semantic graphs also come into picture.
Yep.
So to be able to grab data from different pods while maintaining the meaning, hence Informatica for Salesforce.
Yeah.
One of the things that's been really grating on me, and I've been managing to successfully bite my tongue on it, is the use of platform as a moniker. Because if we start just tossing that term around and not being very precise about how we're using it, how many damn platforms do we actually need? Because we're talking about a lot of duplicative capability, and now it goes and places the burden on the end user to actually evaluate each of the platforms to see, now I'm forced to rationalize it because my costs are continuing to go up. And if I've got these platforms, how am I leveraging them in a way that makes sense so that I'm getting the desired return while still actually getting all of the capability and functionality that I need?
Yeah. Which is the problem that many businesses already have. Look, two simple ones. Many a business has an ERP by SAP and a Salesforce, hooray, CRM system, and all of a sudden they have two very big and very overlapping platforms already, or software platforms at least.
Ken, we need more platforms. That's why we have a job here.
I'll stand.
Yeah, I'm all for more platforms.
Lennon had one fun comment here. He's talking about business of buzzwords. I completely agree, and we should not mind that. Okay, so that's it for the comment. I'll take this off. If you guys are ready, I'll go to the next one. Okay, so this one does not have app, but it's an app. So this one is coming from Celonis, and they are in the process mining space. Which might be similar, I guess. I mean, most of the low-code, no-code platforms, including Pegasystems, they have all acquired some sort of process mining piece. And in my mind, I think it belongs there. So here they are talking about Celonis and Peech launch inventory lifecycle solution to optimize retail and CPG operations and reduce perishable goods losses, which is very interesting. So it has a little bit of SNOP play, but now process mining is getting these capabilities. So it's always interesting where it should belong. I don't know if it should belong in the platform layer, which is more of the RPA process mining. In my mind, they sort of go together. So what else do we have in this? But when you look at the perishable inventory, and I don't know how much you guys are familiar with this, it's a very ad hoc process. So in my mind, I can see a use case for this being implemented in these layers, which I find, again, RPA process mining, they are very ad hoc in nature, the way they work, at least from the technology perspective. Their role is to manage slightly more ad hoc processes, not the formalized processes. For perishable inventory, there is going to be a lot of collaboration, ad hocness to the process. So I find this to be a little bit of fit. I don't know what your take is going to be.
Process mining is all about finding and solving problems in processes. And so far, Celonis is shifting away from only finding the problems for quite a while now. So what this combination does is offering a solution for problem found based upon the finding algorithm. To answer your question, process mining, in my eyes, is deep in the platform layer, in the infrastructure layer, probably even. And it must very fastly evolve into at least semi-automatically offer solutions right away, because I got a problem, and now this is not it.
How do I solve it?
Knowing the problem is only to have a problem, or that one has a problem, is only the first and the easiest step. The big one is solving it, and that's where Celonis and other ones need to evolve into. That's why SAP acquired a competitor of Celonis. Yeah. Maybe Celonis was too expensive, but that's why they acquired a competitor of Celonis. To do exactly that.
Yeah. I have to at least do a call out to whoever wrote their press release, because it does not include AI. So kudos to them. They're actually calling process mining. They're not calling it AI or AI. It already is I think a powerful tool. My big question is, who is Peech? I don't know anybody that knows anything about Peech. And I went to LinkedIn, and there's, I think, 12 to 15 people there. So it just was odd to me. I want to find out about them now. But the thing that I do like about this is that I think that process mining is becoming and will be the fuel for the agentic layer. It's going to come. I mean, the one of the most obvious places to deploy real agents, and I'm talking about agents that can reason, can learn, can act, can interact, collaborate with other agents, and really be autonomous. These autonomous agents, the most obvious places to begin deploying those is going to be where there is rich data around process from process mining, and rich data from robotic process automation. And so this is a makes sense. I can't believe they didn't talk about it, or at least mention, because I think this will be foundational. And so what they're doing, this tool that they're launching becomes the buddy of a store manager, I think, because store manager, at the corporate level, people have the insight. A store manager, most of the time, is left to make decisions on stockouts and a lot of things, and is getting some feedback from corporate. If they can use this to empower store managers, that would be really powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no supply chain expert, but it does seem like a problem, and a problem that you'd want to solve. The fact that you have this, perishable inventory you need to manage very effectively, along with discounting it and trying to move that off the shelf versus toss it in the trash can. So, I mean, it seems like a good thing. And John, I think maybe they missed an opportunity, because you could have had AI-enabled process mining, and I think that would have been a much better release.
Yeah.
John,
a word about Peech. a word about Peech wouldn't have been wrong as well. I just did a brief Google search, and that Peech that comes up is probably not the Peech that's mentioned here.
Oh no! That's
Maybe we don't want to know.
completely different process to get
No,
mine.
so it's nothing filthy, but I don't think the text to speech is that Peech.
Okay.
In Peech here, John might be an ISV because generally any of the technical platforms, they are probably not going to have the functional expertise, and the functional expertise might be coming from Peech. They might be some sort of supply chain ISV or a VAR in their ecosystem. They are calling code developed, which is very interesting. Generally, companies don't call code developed when it is going to be ISV, but in this case, it does seem that Celonis likes to own, I guess, or they want to own. They are not calling this as a marketplace. So that would be my take based on what we have here. More comments on the story? If we don't have, okay, one more comment from the audience. I'll discuss that. So here, Leonard is saying maybe they can use the data to find out what sells best in each location and use that for marketing. So Leonard, just from the supply chain perspective, so there are going to be SNOP platforms. Generally, their job is going to be to do the macro level planning. I think what these guys are mentioning that, especially I guess John mentioned, that when you are talking about intraday planning, that's where this could be useful. But I don't know if you are going to pay such heavy license fee just to enable the store to find the perishable inventory. I don't know if that is the best use of the licensing fee, because Celonis is not going to be cheap and it's a very technical platform. If they are simply enabling a store level insight, I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. Okay, if you guys don't have any other comments on that, I'll move to the next story. We can probably do one more, right? Or maybe two. Let's see. Okay, so this is from the consulting world. So here, you have HCL, which is a very large system integrator, and which is very interesting because I think it's because these guys, and John, you were not here last week. These guys gave me a homework that you need to find some stories that are going to be non-AI. So the call out should be for me that I could find some of the non-AI stories, but these are boring, to be completely honest, because they are not relevant for the time. Okay, so here what ACL has done now, they are trying to create UiPath partnership, and I don't know how many companies are exploring UiPath partnership right now, especially if they are going to be system integrator as big as HCL. By now you would have signed these partnerships. Generally UiPath partnership was very hot, maybe somewhere in 2020, not in 2025. But here there is this announcement is slightly different because they are saying to accelerate agentic automation for UiPath customers globally. So ACL is doing agentic automation for UiPath, and I don't know where that crossover is right now. I know that some people, I think Thomas, you had mentioned last time that these guys don't necessarily call themselves as RPA player anymore. They all are claiming that now they are the new AI. Everybody's claiming that BI players
they are. Come on.
the whole RPA changed a lot.
Yeah, and I would say, if you look at the business world today, intelligent RPA, I think they've tried to use that term. I don't know. But the idea that you can automate more of these lower level tasks, that's a lot of work, and it saves a lot of work. It increases productivity. Have a big consulting partner to implement that. Yeah. Seems like a good deal. I don't know.
Well, for them, it's a good deal, yeah. And we had a bunch of similar stories right now. So replace HCLTech with another big consultancy and UiPath with another vendor. Then we had that a couple of times. This is the necessity right now. Yeah. What strikes me a little is the limitation that they are putting in there right away to accelerate for UiPath customers. Means this implies that it's existing customers, and this implies a problem. I'm quite sure they didn't want to say that, but hey, sometimes I'm reading things negatively.
Yeah, I think you may be projecting a little on that one, Thomas, because I think they're just saying that the more they sell UiPath somewhere, HCL gets some work to do out of it. Which, frankly, if we think about new technology transformations, the consulting companies always make the most out of that. So just another opportunity for them.
Yeah, they need to.
I think this makes a whole lot of sense. And just from when you get right down to it, I mean, we've talked a lot about automation and the single file, single task view of automation is pretty much behind us. It's in our rear view mirror now. We need to be looking at higher level structures in order to be able to really take advantage of the capabilities that we have today. So I think that they're targeting this as a way of not only exploiting a market opportunity, but also gaining some experience on how to actually do that kind of work so that you're not trying to, deal with those lower level automation issues and, kind of raise your gun sight.
Yeah. And it's about time to value. And this is what the last bullet basically says. Yeah. Time to value comes with pre-built solutions. Here we again have the industry solutions. Now, as an aside, we seem to run out of 3-letter acronyms, so we need 4 now.
We probably need to make a few more up.
This is what it basically is. It combines industry expertise that HCL brings in abundance with technology expertise, which comes from UiPath. So it's...
I mean, HCL is also a product company. I almost don't know what to make of this, except that they're maybe playing a bet on the fact that AI is the agentic piece is going to arise out of the automation, because it makes sense, because automation is deterministic, right? And we need to move to probabilistic. But all of the learnings from deterministic kinds of automations feed the models that are able to become autonomous eventually. So it's like process mining RPA. There's rich data inside of that automation platform that becomes very useful when you want to move towards agentic kinds of business models.
Good point.
So John, just to be clear, HCL, they have a lot of products now in their portfolio, but they are still a very, consulting firm. The only reason why they acquire products is so that they can make money, from services. And generally, their goal is going to be to acquire very outdated products, just because they are trying to get billing dollars as much as possible. They have acquired a lot of products from IBM because IBM did not want to consult on them. So that's their take on the product. But one thing that I would like to mention on the 3-letter acronym, Thomas, that you had mentioned, this acronym is really bad. Like really, really bad. A CFO is not going to like it, because I don't know whether you guys know the IFRS or GAAP standards. You never want to mix that. Otherwise, nobody's going to take you seriously. They are going to feel that you don't come from the finance world, that you are calling something like industry-focused repeatable solutions. That is not IFRS.
At least not that one, yeah. But I mean, it's about automation, so repeatable might be redundant in there. But then IFS, I think, is a company name. So another bad one.
Maybe they had to insert an R there.
Yeah. Too bad.
Yeah. Okay. IEF would not work either. So IEF would not work. IFS would not work. IFR, maybe that. Okay. So we can probably do one more, unless you guys have any other comments on that. And then we need to close. So this is very interesting as well. So this is LuminX. I have no idea who they are. This is going to be a seed round, I guess. So 5.5 million, which is very low. But I think what they are doing is probably interesting. That's why we have captured this story. So they are doing warehouse operations with vision language models, which is very interesting. I don't know if we have seen anybody else doing this. So here they are talking AI driven, by the way. Guys, finally we have AI. We have to close with AI. We have to make sure.
This is an interesting one, I think, Sam, in one sense. Though I've done a good bit of work with a couple of IoT startups, one in particular, and obviously tracking things around a warehouse is something that companies care about quite a bit, and it ain't that easy to solve with beacons and sensors and all of those other things. But this is kind of an interesting idea. You use cheap cameras, connectivity, and this vision model that identifies things and tells you where they've been and where they're going, and helps you track them. It could, I'd like to see it in work, but it's a really interesting way to solve a problem that a lot of companies do struggle with quite a bit.
Yeah, but they're not the only ones. Like just yesterday, I read another one that they have been even more successful in securing funds. They are doing something very similar, and one thing that these guys here do not even mention is that inventory management in big warehouses is a dangerous job if done by humans, because those shelves are pretty high, and you really want to avoid people falling down off whatever ladders that they are using to count small things that are high up in the skies. So apart from making sure that the counts are more accurate, it's also a boon for the people in there. So we will be seeing more of this.
No surprise, by the way, on the vision language models from a couple of guys in San Francisco who watch Waymo cars drive by them every single day in mass with incredible vision language models that have been produced by the autonomous car company. So it's a similar kind of thing. I think of it as, the self-driving car, the vision language model, it's the world. You basically have to have everything, and the autonomous car companies create synthetic data because the actual data is not enough, even though they have millions of hours of data to be able to do it. They need even more because they have to look at every possible scenario. So this is almost for a large vision model. This is the small vision model for a specific application, because the different scenarios that you face inside of a warehouse is very specific and very similar across most warehouses. So I think it's really cool to see this happening. I would expect to see it happen in other areas where vision, an operating room, right, that is going to have a very specific set of vision model of only the things that can happen in that operating room. There's so many applications for these small vision language models. This is exciting.
Yeah, well, it's happening in Ukraine.
The thing I like about this is
another type of operating room, but
the thing I like about this particular release is not having to focus on additional labor associated with either adding barcodes or scannable devices or the use of handheld portable units to go through and track things. I think that the benefits that come along with this are pretty compelling.
Yeah.
Perfect, guys. So I think we are close to our time now. So we are going to do a quick close. So we'll go reverse, I guess. Maybe
briefly to the last one of Leonard. They are for years already. I know a couple of companies in New Zealand is an agri-dominated country, and they have agri-tech for years. And this is what he mentions here as part of it, part of the technology that gets developed there and deployed there for quite some time. Also because the country is quite rugged, you don't get everywhere easily.
Yeah, there are a couple of the universities in California that have research going on right now, and that's saying how do you apply vision models to agriculture, to farming, and it's pretty interesting.
Especially the winemaking industry.
Yes.
That too,
Yes. I'm all for that.
yeah.
Okay, perfect, guys. So we are literally, close to our time now. So we need to do quick closing thoughts. Michael, we'll go with you this time. Michael, do you have anything?
I think I like this application of using computer vision in the warehouse management, and I think inventory management in general. And there are probably a lot of other ways you can apply that. If you could really use this in very low cost devices that are connected, and you could certainly see it see the goods in motion as well. I don't know. I think it's I like this story quite a lot. I think it's a really interesting area where you're going to see a lot, especially because as companies have struggled with IoT for a very long time when it comes to this area. So anyway, I thought that was a pretty compelling solution.
Yeah, John, so maybe a sentence for closing. Some people might have meetings, so we want to make sure we close. John?
Absolutely. I'd say the best way to learn about AI is to use it. Go play around, use it, find applications.
Perfect. Thomas?
Yep. Well, I'd like to go back to one of Leonard's comments, whether it's a play for the big ones or the small ones. Here we see a couple of scenarios like the video or by Peech, whoever Peech is, where smaller companies actually can create a difference.
Ken?
Think beyond the technology. Look at demand and cost management as levers to start making better decisions.
Okay, guys, so that's a wrap. We meet every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern, so make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We'll see you.